When you hear the word rat, an image appears instantly. For some people, it's a clean white animal in a lab. For others, it's a brown blur disappearing into a drain. Two very different vibes. But here's the twist. They're not strangers. They're connected more closely than most people realize. Today on Explain History of Things, we breaking down the real difference between white rats and brown rats and what that contrast reveals about survival, behavior, and life alongside humans. White rats aren't a different species. White rats aren't a separate animal. They're domesticated forms of the brown rat, scientifically Rattus norvegicus. Their white fur and pinkish eyes typically come from albinism and selective breeding, not a different evolutionary origin. Generations ago, people began breeding rats for traits that made them easier to handle: calmer behavior, tolerance of touch, predictable responses, and visible coloration. Over time, that selection didn't just change appearance, it shaped how these rats deal with the world. Safety changes the brain. A white rat is usually born into a world of stability. Food on schedule, safe shelter, controlled temperatures, and almost zero predators. That matters because growing up safe changes what an animal needs to be good at. White rats can afford to explore. They can afford to be curious. They learn routines quickly, investigate new objects, and often appear relaxed around humans, not because they're better, but because their environment allows it. Brown rats live under pressure. Brown rats live in a different universe. Cities, farms, docks, tunnels, these places are unpredictable. Food comes and goes. Humans change behavior suddenly. There are traps, poisons, predators, traffic, and weather every day. In that world, being bold can get you killed. So brown rats develop extreme caution. They hesitate around new objects and unfamiliar food. They watch. They wait. They test. That survival strategy is known as neophobia, fear of novelty, and it's one reason wild rats can seem impossibly smart. What people call sneakiness is often just intelligence shaped by danger. Intelligence isn't the real difference, context is. People often compare white versus brown rats like it's an IQ contest. But the bigger truth is, both are highly capable learners. In labs, white rats solve puzzles, learn patterns, and adapt strategies. In the real world, brown rats learn safe routes, remember food locations, and adjust behavior when something changes. Same brain power, different job description. White rats use their intelligence in environments designed for learning. Brown rats use theirs in environments designed to eliminate them. Temperament can change. White rats are often described as social, gentle, and curious. Many recognize familiar humans, respond to handling, and form bonds. Brown rats can appear defensive or reactive, not because they're evil, but because trust is risky when the world is dangerous. Here's the key: behavior is flexible. If brown rats are raised from birth in safe environments, they often become calmer and more social. And if a domesticated white rat were thrown into harsh conditions, its calmness could become a disadvantage. Rats are social creatures. Both types are deeply social animals. They communicate through scent, body language, touch, and sound, much of it outside human hearing. They groom each other, play, warn each other, and learn from each other. In the wild, social intelligence matters. Survival isn't just individual, it's group-based. Why humans treat them so differently? Human history shaped their reputations. White rats are associated with science, education, and sometimes pets, so they're viewed as clean and useful. Brown rats are associated with trash, fear, and disease, so they're treated like villains. But often, brown rats are simply living in the environments humans created. Our waste feeds them. Our buildings shelter them. Our cities accidentally support them. White rats were welcomed into controlled spaces. Brown rats were rejected from those same spaces. So who wins, white rats or brown rats? Neither. They're both experts, just in different worlds. Change the environment, and the outcome changes instantly. The biggest difference isn't intelligence or worth. It's context. Thanks for watching Explain History of Things. Drop your next topic suggestion in the comments. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more stories hidden in everyday details.